Hi, I'm Michelle. I'm a physical therapist and founder of Proactive Therapy and Wellness. If you're over 60 and you want to stay strong, steady, and independent, you are in the right place. Each week, we talk about simple, practical ways to move better, feel better, and stay confident in your body without fear, confusion, or overwhelm. So let's get started. Now, this is something that's come up recently when I've been talking to people about shoes. Because for any of you out there who are in my world, you know that I talk a lot about shoes. I particularly enjoy wearing barefoot shoes when appropriate. So people often say to me that they can't wear those kinds of shoes because they have heel pain, they have plantar fasciitis. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit today. Now, if you've ever stepped out of bed first thing in the morning when you're cold, right? No, you haven't warmed up at all, you're cold muscles, you step down and you instantly feel that sharp pain in your heel, into your arch. You know what plantar fasciitis feels like. That first step, so painful. So most people, when they have that, they think, and actually they're often told by doctors, you need supportive shoes, you need more cushioning, you need more. You should never go barefooted. And sometimes that's true. You do maybe need some supportive shoes at times, but that's not always the case. The thing with that heel pain is, and I want to kind of backtrack a little bit, is that when you have any kind of pain, whether it be plantar fasciitis or other pain, it affects your balance, right? Anytime if you have a knee pain, if you have hip pain, no matter what, it's going to help affect the way you walk, which then affects your balance. And then, to be honest, it can affect other joints because as soon as you start walking funny to protect one thing, then it cascades into other problems that start to occur. So, anyway, I start to digress here. We're talking about how your footwear and how plantar fasciitis can influence how stable you are and how well you move and what you can actually do about it. So let's talk about, first off, what is plantar fasciitis? So the plantar fascia is a thick band of connective tissue that runs from your heel kind of up towards your toes. It supports your arch, kind of like a spring when you walk. So it needs to be thick and somewhat tight because it's going to act as that spring. But when it gets too tight and when it becomes irritated and overloaded, that's when you develop that classic heel pain, especially after those first couple of steps if you've been sitting or lying for a long time. It's very common in older people, mainly between 40 and 70. It's a common condition, and a lot of people experience it. And the most important thing, in my opinion, is it changes how you move. Anytime you have pain, it's going to change how you move. So when your heel hurts, right, even just a little bit, even just think about maybe if you stumped your foot a little bit, it's going to change a little how you move. Your body automatically compensates. So you might start shifting your weight to maybe to the outside of your foot, to the other foot. You'll shorten your stride, your step. You're kind of limping along. You avoid fully loading your heel, so your mechanics are gonna change, and you're walking much more cautiously. All these things affect your gait cycle, your walking pattern, and it affects your center of gravity because you're favoring it. So you're shifting differently. And over time, that increased sway or off-putting altered gait cycle can reduce your confidence because then you don't feel as stable on your feet. Research has shown that people with plantar heel pain, they have those altered loading patterns and reduced stability to those obviously who don't have pain, right? That just kind of is common sense. It's amazing they have to do research on that. So anything in people over 60 that alters the normal gait cycle can significantly increase fall risk, because fall risk automatically, I hate to say it, I mean, it doesn't have to if you're really working at it, but very commonly is much higher in people over 60. You add pain to that, now we've increased that risk even more. So let's talk about the cushion myth. When the heel pain starts, many people, they go straight to that cushion, right? Whether they get those gel inserts or the ultra soft shoes, those lovely Hokas, or any of those that are really thick and soft and just like a cloud to walk in. Well, and that feels great at the beginning, and that's not necessarily a bad thing at the beginning. Just like when you sprain a wrist or sprain an ankle, you want to maybe brace it for a short period of time, give it some stability, some support, and let it heal. But that's short term, right? Long term, if you start wearing those soft shoes, soft soles, that reduces the sensory input that your brain needs for balance. It's like putting a glove on your hand. You can't feel the floor well. And if you can't feel the floor well, your brain's not going to get accurate signals telling it what it's feeling. And so if it doesn't quite know what you're standing on and can't get an accurate signal, it can no longer send an accurate signal to respond with a motor response. So remember that your feet are sensors. They're telling your body what it needs to do. Like when you're walking over uneven ground, every little movement that your foot experiences is sending signals to your brain. And when you start wearing those cushioned shoes, you're dulling that input. So I want you to consider that when you're wearing those Hokas or other thick-soled shoes for long periods of time. Think of it as a splint to be worn for short periods. When you're injured, or maybe when you're in conditions that you're on your feet on hard surfaces for a long period of time. So the trade-off when you're wearing those is, yes, you'll have less pain, but sometimes it also reduces your stability. So then there's the more support trap. Okay? Orthotics, arch supports, they do have their place. Again, it's like a brace or a splint. You're providing that support when it's initially injured. But if you have those for too long, it can weaken your whole foot. So initially, it can reduce strain on the plantar fascia, lets it kind of relax and get less inflamed. It improves your alignment, calms that inflammation, which is great at the beginning. But if you continue to provide it with more support than it really does need for longer, your foot starts to weaken because it no longer has to hold itself. It doesn't know how to stabilize itself anymore. And we rely on the foot, the ankle, the whole lower leg to really help us with our balance. All those bones, we have 26 bones in our feet, and they were designed to move. They were not designed to be held in a shoe or in a brace for long periods of time. So we need them to move. So sometimes the long-term solution isn't just adding the support, it's restoring the strength and the flexibility in the feet to allow them to move naturally. So my general recommendation is, if you have some issues with plantar fasciitis, find a shoe that has some arch support, but try to get a sole that's not too firm. Okay? You need a little bit, but not too firm. Not overly thick. I don't want a whole lot of cushioning, just enough that it takes the edge off of that pain. The toe box should be wide. So instead of tapering up around your toes, that should pretty well square off. That's going to allow your toes to spread out and create that wider base. It also gives you a better base for pushing off through your toes. You obviously want good traction through your feet, and you want a secure fit. So those shoes that slip on, the mules that don't have a back, not good shoes, especially if you have plantar fasciitis, but even on a regular basis. You want a shoe that's going to stay on. I myself notice the difference in how I walk when I'm walking around the house if I'm wearing my slippers that don't have a back as opposed to a regular shoe. My foot actually moves differently. It almost strains a little bit to hold my slipper on when I'm taking those steps. And I don't pick up my foot as much just because I'm wearing a slipper that's not really staying on my feet. It's not well fit. And if plantar fasciitis is a problem, I strongly encourage calf mobility work, so strengthening and flexibility in your calf, and gradually strengthening the foot muscles, those intrinsic foot muscles. And of course, addressing balance is a big deal because that's all about the stability. So we want to link balance work with improving flexibility and improving your strength. So I'm going to be attaching a link in the show notes to a separate video that's going to show you some various exercises that you can do with your feet to improve the flexibility in the toes, in the forefoot, in the ankle, as well as strengthening those toes and forefoot and ankle. All those different components need to be strengthened. A lot of people don't really think about strengthening their toes or their foot, but it makes a big difference. So I'll be sharing that link down below. So be sure to check that out if you have gotten through this whole video. So in closing, heel pain isn't just about comfort, right? It affects how you walk. It affects how you stand. It affects how steady you feel. And when you're trying to stay active, when you're trying to stay independent, that stability matters. Shoes matter. Support matters. But strength and mobility matter just as much, right? It's all interlinked. So if you're struggling with heel pain, you're feeling less steady on your feet, don't ignore it. Address it before it continues, because the earlier you address it, the easier it is to correct. Your feet are your foundation. They hold you. If we let them go, your support, your foundation starts to crumble. And we need to take care of that before that happens. So I want to thank you. If you've made it to the end of this video, I really appreciate it. And if you have gotten something out of this, please share it, because I want others to gain the same knowledge that you are gaining, because staying strong and steady is always easier when we support each other. So remember, it's never too late to improve your balance, your strength, your flexibility. It just takes consistent steps, and they really do add up. So until next time, I want you to keep moving, stay proactive, and take good care of yourself. I'll see you next time.